Let's start feet hip width apart and parallel. And sway ever so slightly forwards and ever so slightly backwards, just to help you find your center. Weight into the heels as you sway slightly backwards. Weight into the toes as you sway slightly forwards. And then trying to find that midpoint between those two end ranges. And settling there. Bend your knees and soften your ankles, and then push your legs straight. Bend and straighten. And as you bend your knees, try to let them go forwards over your toes. So you'll get a little bit of a stretch on the back of the leg, and maybe a little bit of work on the front of your shin. Let's do a couple more. And then we're going to bring our arms up to the ceiling. And we're going to let them swing as we take a double knee bend. Double knee bend, pendulum arm swing. We breathe out as we bend and inhale as we reach. Now your breath can be silent if that feels more comfortable, and it can all be done through your nose if that's your preference. Okay, let's see if we can get a little bit more fold in the knees and the ankles as we progress with this. So each of the drops that happen now, we're really leaning into it and pushing our big toes into the ground with our own body weight as we do these drops. We've got two more. And then the last one. And with this one, we're going to hold our arms up. Take hold of one of your wrists, lift it to the ceiling, and side bend over. Opening up the side body, breathe in. And let your inhale lift your breastbone towards your chin. Let's come back up to the center. Circle the arms around and down. You can give them a little shake. Take them back up again. Grab onto the other wrist this time. Lift it first. And then side bend over. Big toes pressing down. Inner thighs lifting. Low tummy lifting. Breathe in. And let the inhale lift your breastbone towards your chin. Coming all the way back out. Circle your arms around and down. Give your arms a little shake. Clasp your hands behind you and pull back. So now we've got a pec stretch. Looks a little bit like this. Try to have your hands a little bit of a distance away from your seat if you can. So to float them up behind you. A few deep breaths, and you're going to let your collarbone widen on each of those inhales. It might feel a little bit tight, so let your breath have time to find itself. And breathing out. Last one like this. And breathing out. And then let your arms have a little rest by your sides, maybe another shake. Okay, a roll down now, taking an inhale. And then as you exhale, bring your chin to your chest and let your body fold forwards towards the floor. Pelvis stays upright for as long as you can keep it that way. And then when you think, right, that's it, I can't keep it up any longer, you can let it tilt. The sit bones start to rise, the back of the legs will get a stretch. And then from your pelvis, roll all the way back up to standing. And we're going to do that one more time, breathing in. And then as you roll down, chin to chest and exhale, big toes pressing the ground, inner thighs lifting. Low tummy lifting, pelvis upright. Give your back a moment to find its curve. And then let your pelvis move, sit bones rise to the ceiling. Backs of the legs get a stretch. I'm going to take my hands and hold on to my opposite elbows. And let my arms just swing a little bit from side to side. Just loosen off the back of my rib cage and shoulders. It feels like everything's falling out of the top of my head. And then let's roll all the way back up to standing. Let's take our arms up to the ceiling. Inhale. Circle round and down. We've got another roll down coming here. Breathe in. And then chin to chest and roll yourself down to the mat again. Same as before, big toes pressing, inner thighs lifting, low tummy lifting, and then let your pelvis move. And then we've got this dangle. Okay, I'm going to turn side on so that you can see what happens next. I'm going to bend my knees and tuck my tailbone under, and then push down through my feet to lift my sit bones up. Tailbone under as my knees soften. Then I push the ground to send my sit bones up and try to fold myself in half. Bend your knees and soften. And then feet pushing down, sit bones rising and fold. Last one. Tucking the tail right under. And then pushing the legs straight and up. Roll from your pelvis all the way back up. Both arms go up. Circle your arms around and down. And then maybe settle them on your hips. We're going to take a wide stance now. Wider than your own shoulders. And then knee bends that end up turning into a fairly deep squat. So you want a wide enough stance to accommodate the length of your own thigh bones. Knees reaching out and away as you drop into the squat. Spine rising to the ceiling as you drop into the squat. So we've got those two focal points. The body's dropping, but the focus is up through your back and out through your knees. It's like pulling an elastic band apart. Each one will feel like an inner thigh stretch. 4 and 3, 2 and 1. All the way back up to standing. Keep the wide stance. And we're going to do a wide stance roll down. Bring your chin to your chest and let your body fold forwards. Rolling all the way down, let your sit bones rise. We'll dangle here just for a minute. Let's hold on to our elbows and do that little elbow swing from side to side. It's okay for your rib cage to follow a little bit. A bit of movement across the back body. Finishing off on this one. Let your arms dangle again and we'll walk around to one leg. Hold the stretch. Coming back to the center, over to the other side. Same again over here. And then we're coming back to the middle and rolling all the way back up. Hands back to your hips. Got another set of these wide squats. Got my feet ever so slightly turned out so that when my knees separate, they track over my feet. And it feels like sitting down on a chair. Using my feet to push my breastbone up towards the ceiling as I drop. Let's have 2 more and then we're going to have a dynamic return back to the center line. So we're going to lower ourselves down and then one of our legs is going to push and bring ourselves back onto that center line. Give your legs a little shake. And from here, a final roll down to the floor, chin to chest, and folding forwards. And we're going to come all the way down into 4-point kneeling. So I'll just stay this way for a moment so that you can see. I'm going to be moving my legs. So I've got my wrists under my hands, my wrists under my shoulders, and my knees under my hips. I'll get my words right eventually. And then we're going to tuck our heads in, tuck our chin to our chest, and round the spine. Cat stretch. And then coming it back out of that into flat back. Tailbone under, chin to chest, and form your cat stretch. Really let your hands push your rib cage up towards the ceiling, and then let your spine roll through. Here we go again, cat stretch. Ribs drawing in and up, knees pushing down to activate your low abs. Breathe in to increase the stretch across your back. And then let yourself soften, come back to neutral, and maybe even a bit of extension. Chin to chest, and cat stretch. Use the push into the mat to help create the shape. And then rolling back through to neutral. Okay, last one like this. Keep moving in that shape. You've got your cat stretch. And then coming back to neutral. And then you're going to take your right leg out to the side. I'm going to track back and forth. Just trying to loosen off your hips a little bit before we do anything fancier. Okay, coming back to the center point, make a cat stretch here. And then lift your hips up and back over your back heel for angry cat. Roll your pelvis through to neutral. I'm still staying back here. And then tracking forward to where you started. I'm going to turn side on again so that you can see what my spine is doing. I've got my cat stretch. I've got an angry cat. So I'm reaching my pelvis back over my back heel, but I'm not sitting on it. It's floating. I stay back here. I roll my pelvis and my spine through to neutral. And then I track forward back over my wrists. Cat stretch. Angry cat. Roll it through. And return. Keep going. Cat stretch. Angry cat. Roll through. And return. We've got one more. Each time trying to get a little bit more out of the shapes. Okay, so from here, we're back at the start, and now we're going to roll up into high kneeling. And that leg that's out to the side, we're going to bend it and bring it forward a little bit. So we now have a 90-90 gate post position with our legs. So we've got 90 degrees at the front knee and 90 degrees at the back leg. Lean into the front knee. And just see how far you can comfortably go. And then see if you can let your body naturally recoil you out of the shape. And if you feel comfortable to do so, we're going to use the far arm and reach it as we lean away and swing and let it help us recoil. So we're swinging into the stretch, using the swinging arm to help us recoil out into this section. Two stretches here. An inner thigh stretch and then a side body stretch. And as we do the side body stretch, breathe in and it should increase the stretch. And then you can exhale as you swing. Let's do a couple more. Last one. Hold here for a moment longer than before. Really let your rib cage push out into the skin. And then you'll come all the way back up. Bring your arm down. And then roll back down to the floor and take your leg back out to the side. We're now going to walk our body around so we're long on the mat. I'm going to put my hand down, but if your wrist is sensitive, you can close your fist and use a long flat wrist to help support yourself. Maybe this hand will be on your hip. Maybe it'll be long on the side of your leg. And then we're just going to try and lift and lower our long leg. So it doesn't matter how high you lift. Pushing down with your knee to help generate lift on the other leg. So if we want something to go up the top leg, we have to push things down, the knee and the hand. So focus on the mat and push down to help generate lift on the moving leg. You can also help create lift by perhaps breathing in as you try to lift the leg and letting that inhale lengthen your body, moving your breastbone towards your chin. Little tricks to help things feel a little bit easier. A push to the floor and a good inhale. 2 more. Should be starting to feel heavy now on that outside edge of your hip. Let your leg come down. Let's take that top arm up to the ceiling and do a long side bend. And then you'll bring your arm all the way back round and down, all the way down to the floor. And walk your hands back around. Bring your leg back in underneath you. And come back up into high kneeling. Okay, so we're now ready to do a sit back and roll up. I'm going to turn side on so that you can see me. And hands on hips. You're going to drop your hips back and then tuck your tailbone under and roll yourself up and through. So it's like a high kneeling shoulder bridge. So to get yourself up and through, you need some glute work off the back of your pelvis. So around about here, you're going to squeeze your glutes and use that power to help lift yourself back up to the start. Sitting back, pelvic tilt, roll through. 4 more. And 3. 2. And 1. All the way back up. And then we're rolling ourselves back down again to do the other leg. So all the way back down into 4-point kneeling. And take your left leg out to the side now. And we start with some tracking, just forward and back. See if you can get your hip to let go of your leg a little bit. And give yourself a bit more freedom of movement. Okay, and then from here, cat stretch, angry cat, pelvic roll, and return. Keep going. We've got our cat stretch, our angry cat, our pelvic roll, and a return. Two more like this. And last one, cat, angry cat, pelvic roll, and return. So staying as we are with that left leg out to the side, we then roll up into high kneeling, bringing the side leg out in front. So we now have 90-90 at the knees, and then we're leaning and recoiling. And we want to feel a stretch on the inner thigh as we lean in. And we're using the big toe push to help us recoil. You want it to feel bouncy if you can. And then when you feel ready, you're going to let your arm swing With this long stretch in the side body, and then we let the arm swing and recoil. Dynamic inner thigh stretch, coordinated with the rest of your body. If you want to add a breath into this, you can breathe out and then breathe in as you stretch. And breathe out as you swing and breathe in as you stretch. Let's have a couple more. Trying to keep your body upright. And go looking for your own tight bits in the side of your torso. Last one. We're going to prolong our stretch here just for a moment. Breathing into the side body, letting the ribs push out into the skin. And then let yourself come all the way out of that. Your arms are going to reach back down to the floor, and we're going to walk that leg long out to the side on the mat and bring the torso around. So we're now long ways ready for that side leg lift. So remember, you've got choices. You can have a flat hand, or you can close your fist to keep your wrist long and flat. And then we're going to lift and lower. And we're thinking about the ground and how down pushing the ground can be really helpful for creating lift on the working side. So we're not really leaning on the hand at all. We're pushing ourselves up with the hand. And that really does help with how your wrist feels about being down there. 4 and 3, 2, and last one. Let the leg come down, take your arm up to the ceiling and create a long side stretch. And then you'll bring your arm all the way back up and round, all the way down to the floor. Walk your hands back around, bring your leg underneath you. Then you're going to sit back into a wide-kneed shell stretch, reaching your fingers long away on the floor. And then you're going to walk around to one side, doesn't matter which one. And then let's change sides. Let's do that one more time each side. Over. And the final side. And then you're coming back to the center, back up into 4-point kneeling. Our knees come under our hips again. And then you can reach one arm through for thread the needle. So you can either stay fairly high up like I am at the moment, or you can let your shoulder drop right down to the ground, whichever is your preference. I like to try and breathe myself around the corner rather than force myself around. So I stay up high and then deep inhale and use my expanding lungs to help move my rib cage and my tight soft tissue. I'll do that again. I'm reaching, I'm taking a big deep breath in, letting my lungs expand, letting my diaphragm move, and hoping that all of that soft tissue expansion will give me freedom to move a bit further. And it did. And now I'm going the other way. And just accept whatever my body's given me. Hair in my face. And then I'm going to breathe in. And see if I can get something to happen from the expansion of my breath. We're going to do that one more time each side. So I like my thread the needle to feel active rather than passive. So I've got a pushing hand on the floor, Both my hands are active. The one that's long on the floor is kind of dragging me towards it. So I've got the back of my hand down and I'm creating a bit of pull. And then I take my breath in, I let my diaphragm move towards my intestines. And my lungs expand and off around the corner I go. Last one to the other side. And coming back to the center and sitting right back into a final shell stretch. And then you're going to bring yourself to seated and turn yourself around so that we can prep ourselves for roll back. Got my feet on the floor, my seat around about halfway down the mat, my hands on the outsides of my knees. I'm going to tilt my pelvis and my arms go straight. I'm going to stop myself there. I'm going to press my big toes down, pull my inner thighs up and increase the curve in my low back, and then roll myself all the way back up again. And then I'll do that again. Pelvic tilt to the length of my own arms. Then I'll hold here. Big toes pressing down, inner thighs lifting. Low tummy drawing in and up to help curve my spine. And then I roll all the way back up. And off we go again. The press through your feet is only about 3 out of 10 effort. It's not a huge amount of push down, just enough to increase your core work. Pelvic tilt, inner thighs lift, low tummy lifts. I'm creeping back a little bit further now, letting my hands slide down my legs a touch, and then pushing them back up to the sides of my knees. Off I go again. To the length of an arm, and then a bit further. Maybe the back of my pelvis is down. I'm focusing on keeping my feet on the mat and rolling up. And again. Okay, we're going to creep right down to the low ribs, just below the shoulder blades. So all the way down. And all the way back up. Little involuntary noises. And again. Tailbone under. Rolling down. Rolling up. Okay, so the next one is the last one. We go down to the tips of the shoulder blades this time, and then we stay there, keeping our heads lifted. So we're not bringing our head to the floor. It's just the tips of your shoulder blades. It's about here and no further. It should feel like a struggle. Draw your feet in a little bit closer to you. Lift one leg into tabletop and the other. Squeeze your legs together. Reach your arms long. Breathe in. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4. Breathe in. And out. Breathe in. Maybe pump your arms as you breathe and out. Breathe in. And out. And in. And out. 2 more breaths. Breathe in. And out. Last one. In. And out. And then slowly roll down, head on the ground. Pull your knees into your chest for a stretch. And then you're going to take one foot down to the mat and the other and stretch everything out long. Hold through this long stretch. Feel it in your abs. And then we're going to bring our legs back into bent knee, feet on the floor. Okay, so from here, we're up in tabletop again. Arms are now down by your sides. And you're going to try and straighten both of your legs. up towards the ceiling. It should feel like they go vertical. I can see myself in the camera, so I'm trying to line myself up with that post. There we go. Pushing the back of the pelvis down to straighten your legs. Doing quite a good job of this, I think. Okay, let's have 4 more. And 3. And 2. And 1. Hold it up. Point your feet and flex your feet. Oh, that feels horrible today. Push the heel away. Point and push the heel. Point and flex. And point and flex. 4, 3, 2, and we're not finished there. You're going to hold it in a point, and we're going to drift one of our legs away and pull it back up. Drift the other one away, just a small amount, and then pull it back up. Drift and pull. Drift and pull. And it's up to you how far away it goes. If it's just that, that's fine. If you need to hold on to it, that's fine. Let's have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then let's bend those knees into tabletop. We'll give ourselves another hug. And then putting them back, tabletop legs, arms out to the side now, and we're going to have a rock from side to side. So it's okay for your hip to lift off the ground, but try to keep your shoulder blades down. And you can use the opposite arm, the opposite hand to help push your shoulder blade into the ground. You want your waist muscles to lengthen into the shape rather than dragging your whole shoulder blade structure along with it. On one side, then the other. Finish off with these 2. So one that way and one this way. Back to the center, and then feet down to the floor. Arms now by your sides, and we're straight into a shoulder bridge. Expect your first one to feel a bit clunky and a bit heavy. Rising up through the hips, fidgeting as much as you feel you need to, and then uncurling all the way down through your spine. And again, rising, big toes pressing down, whole of your foot pressing down, inner thighs lifting, uncurl, bone by bone by bone. Hips rising, ribs are nice and tidy and held in. The hips feel like they get a little bit higher than your rib cage. And uncurl. Let's have 2 more. All the way up and all the way down. Last one, and we're going to hold it up. And we're going to add a little bit of marching out. So we're going to lift one leg and put it back down. Lifting the other and put it back down. And if this doesn't feel too difficult, you can go as far as a tabletop leg. If it does feel very difficult, just a heel lift would suffice. Okay, so pick your own level. A simple heel lift is the easiest. A small foot lift is slightly harder. And a full tabletop is the hardest one. The key to this is the foot you leave behind has to push strong, even though it doesn't want to. Let's have 4 and 3 and 2 and 1. And then uncurl all the way back down and roll over onto your side. So I'm going to use my own arm as a headrest. If you happen to have a pillow and you think that's more comfortable, feel free to put a pillow under your head. Bend my knees up a little bit to help me stay stable. And then I'm going to do chalk circles, drawing a circle in the air with my arm all the way around. Try to let gravity do most of the work back here, relaxing your pec and feeling your arm bone drop and stretch the structures on the front of your shoulder. Let's have two more. And last one. And then from here, push into that hand at the front and prop yourself up onto your forearm underneath. And push down into the mat and lift your hips up, and we'll have a short hold side plank. Just going to watch my clock, and we'll just hold for 10 and 5 and 4, 3, 2 and 1, and lower back down. Roll onto your front. Hands by the sides of your torso, pelvis pressing down and lifting your head and shoulders and your eyes looking forwards, and then lowering. Push down through the pelvis, lift your low back bones up into your back skin. So they're not going to the floor. You're pushing down with your pelvis, that's the bit that goes to the floor. And everything else feels like it moves up into your own skin. So my abs stay on the floor and my low rib stays on the floor. But internally, I'm lifting bones. Let's have 4 more. And 3. And 2. A nice inhale as you rise can really help you lift. And 1. Lowering all the way down, pushing up and back into a shell stretch. It's going to round your back. And then we're going to turn around and do the same thing on the other side. So we've got our side lying, head resting down, knees bent for stability, hand out in front, chalk circles to open out the front of your shoulder. This should feel quite relaxing. If you're quite tight in your shoulder, it won't necessarily be the nicest of feelings. But I want you to see if you can make your arm feel very sleepy and droppy, like gravity's just got it and it's just dropping down at the back so that your pec muscles have to lengthen and into your arm has to lengthen to accommodate that. Let's have 2 more. And last one. And then you're going to bring that hand to the floor in front. Push down, prop yourself up for your short side plank. And lift your hips. And then we'll count once we're up for 10 seconds. So here we go. And then we're at 5 and 3 and 2 and 1. And lower your hips. Turn yourself around into a shell stretch with wide knees. Sitting back. And then you're going to curl your toes under. Stretch through the soles of your feet and around the ankles and your Achilles. I'm pushing down with my hands, pushing myself back onto my tight feet. I'm going to walk my hands back. Bring my feet down. Push my sit bones up. Tailbone under. Roll all the way back up to standing. Give myself a moment to find my head, because I always feel a bit dizzy when I get up. Okay, and then from here, lean onto your toes, press down, let your heels rise, let your arms rise, hold the balance, and then heels down, arms down, shoulder roll, and an arm shake to finish. Thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next week. Bye.